Julian, you'll do that. Awesome.
So I'm going to also talk about my home country, which is India. I grew up there, and as Sumita mentioned, it's a country with 22 official languages. There are like 120 unofficial languages too. So it changes every 50 kilometers. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. And there are these two umbrella languages, English and Hindi, which pretty much everyone knows across the country. So it makes it easier to communicate, right? So one summer, one of my second cousins who grew up in a different province, he came to visit me. And since our province is well known for its sugarcane plantation, our province is called Punjab, right? So I told him, let's go to our field and pick some sugar canes. And in the process of picking those sugar canes, I noticed that while in Punjabi, my provincial language, we had exact words for different types of sugar canes. He was piling up words in Hindi to, refer them. So he was saying like moderately ripe sugarcane, while we have an exact word for that in Punjabi. So since sugarcane plantation has been a part of our culture, our province for like several hundred years, our language sort of adapted to that, and we have specific words for different types of sugarcanes. And this particular principle is called linguistic relativity, or Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. So your language is affected by your culture and your thoughts, and also the other way around, which is a bit unintuitive, that your thoughts are affected by your language. So just to give another example of this, the Inuit people of Canada and Greenland, they have 6 to 8 different words to describe snow. So they have different words for wet snow, dry snow, thick snow, whatever, right? So 2 types of snow that might seem similar to us could mean entirely different to these people. So that's another way how their language adapted to their culture. So this was one aspect of the theory. The second aspect is how language has an impact on your thought. So in order to elaborate this, I'm going to consider a situation. Let's say I have a friend, let's say that friend is Lior, and he has a spider on his right leg. So if I have to warn him in English, I'll say, hey Lior, you got a spider on your right leg, right? Not if I'm an Aboriginal from Australia. So the Aboriginals of Australia, they have no concept of left, right, or forward and backward. All their directions work in either north, east, west, south. So in that case, I would say you got a spider on your northeast leg. That's how they talk. And their greetings, they don't say hello. They usually say like, where are you coming from, where are you going, which is usually followed by an answer like coming from the southeast or going towards the northwest, something along those lines. So as a consequence of using this language, these people have developed really high sort of navigation skills, and they can find their way around in any new or unfamiliar areas, because they have to. I mean, if they don't, they can't even get past the greeting. So this is how their language sort of changed their brain or their thoughts. Another example of this is the indigenous people of Amazon rainforest. So their counting system is pretty interesting. They just have 1 and many, just 2 numbers. So it's just 1 or many, like anything, they'll say it's either 1, or if it's 2 or 3 or 4,000, they'll say many. So in an experiment with these people, when they were asked to represent a certain amount of things on their fingers, all of them were having troubles representing it, which like even a kid can do there who speaks English. So this is another way how their brain sort of developed in a way that their counting system affected their thoughts. So in conclusion, I'd say that language is a very powerful tool, and it is often underrated. Your language is a reflection of your brain, so make sure you think good if you want to speak good, and more importantly, you speak good if you want to think good.
I really like the sort of personal stuff, and then also like drawing from other civilizations and communities. I thought the people who speak in north, south, east, west was like a super good example for what you're describing for the Roth hypothesis, whatever. Yeah, just as a way, or and the 1 in many, just to really get across that point. There are people who can't do something that we think is trivial because their language structures are different. Well,
first I found that pretty interesting. Like the whole speech, I found really interesting. The other thing is, it's so unfathomable to me, the whole north, south, east, west, and no relative directions. Like, it seems impossible to get through life like that. You gave great examples of how you might do that, but it still seems like, what if Lior broke his right ankle, to continue with this example? And so he went up to you and he was like, oh, I can't do this today because I broke my north ankle. And you'd be like, okay, sure, great. Then he leaves and you gotta tell someone else. What do you tell them? Like, it seems impossible. Everything is based in the present. You can't relay information, almost.
Well, you can just say he broke his northeast ankle. I mean,
No, what if he's gone?
You just say he broke his ankle.
Which one?
It doesn't matter.
He was limping the other day. I'm not like, what do you mean it doesn't matter?
Why does it matter?
What if it
In
matters?
research, you'll find that they have the culture has a central point. We just don't. I don't think you covered what that.
yeah, I didn't fully
That
research
central
how
point was.
their system works, but
They have a reference point, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like if you research what he's talking about, if you think it's the Worf
Sapir-Whorf.
Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, in Google will pop up where they'll talk about this culture, and I think they have a reference point.
Has anyone seen Arrival?
Yeah, it's an awesome movie.
The whole movie is based on this hypothesis. So they took it to another extreme. That's
I would recommend that movie, by the way.
Very
I
good.
don't think
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
It is pretty good.
I don't think so. Just come out.
So any other comments? Judy?